Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we are back and watching Arcane, Episode 7, The Boy Savior. I'm going to say that ties to Jace. I'm going to say Jace is our boy savior. He is, because he's been led to believe the guy that's going to help a lot of things, but could refer to many people. We can't just narrow it down. I got my brother over here in the wings, and I'm looking over at him like he's giving me a stare, like, not going to tell you. But yeah, I think it could refer to a lot of things. I'm going to guess it's referring mainly to Jace, but I could be wrong on that. But yeah, we're going to watch this episode today. I was told by, and I'll put your name up here when I edit, Cantino Duwally said to watch after episode 7, watch the Enemy original video. So I've pulled it up here, the music video, because apparently there's some extra footage that's not shown in the show that's in the video. So I think that's kind of cool. And you said you've not seen the video? No, I haven't seen either. So we got pulled up. They said to watch after episode 7, and then someone today in the YouTube comments for episode 4 said that, because we're recording a little bit ahead for scheduling stuff, but said for episode 4 that you could watch it before or after the episode, and it would change the view of the episodes. I'm like, just for spoilers' sake, we'll watch it afterwards. We'll just be careful with that. So yeah, episode 4 is on YouTube, episode 5 is on Patreon. Fun times. We're recording a little bit ahead because I'm going to be out of town, so I want to get this recorded before I go. But yeah, I'm pretty excited. Last episode, we cut off Act 2. We basically had all of our characters. Jace getting Heimerdinger retired. Vi and Caitlin seemingly being captured. Powder's not in a good place. Silco's not in a good place. Victor's gone to the old mad scientist who's got the little... what'd you say it was? What animal's that creature based off of? Like a...
axolotl.
Yeah, axolotl. Yeah, is down there with them. So lots of pieces moving on the board. And everybody's kind of in a weird place right now. And then you have Marcus, who's trying to save his daughter and keep her safe by enacting with all of this. So lots of interesting things at play. So we're starting the last act. We're starting Act 3, the last 3 episodes. And I don't know, based on episode 6, I don't know where we're going with it. So I don't know how we're going to go into this final act. There doesn't seem like there's going to be a big time skip. It doesn't seem like the end of Act 1 where we had a big time skip. It seems like this is going to flow right into it. So... I'm curious, but we'll find out, won't we? So let's not waste any more time and dive into this episode, and then we'll watch the video after we're done discussing it. So, yeah, we're going to start episode 7, or we may do the music video right afterwards, but we'll do it here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So, I really liked this episode. I like this a lot better than the last episode. The last episode was such a weird episode to end Act 2 on. If this is setting up the final act, there's a lot of stuff going down. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff brought up in this. Holy cow. So Marcus is dead. Supposedly, we think Marcus is dead. We think he's dead, but God... Oh, that was interesting. So, yeah, I like it's funny, the whole stylized thing at the beginning with the firelights, the stylized, like, artist. It matches the mural with the tree and everything, and kind of like the underground, like the tree house, the sanctuary there. And then it matches the style of seeing Ekko and Powder against each other as kids versus as adults. Like, it's a cool tie back, and the whole thing with the firelights. I didn't even think about the firelights being the mechanized bugs and being made into bombs. I didn't even think about that.
Well, firelights aren't mechanized. It was the butterflies from the...
Right, but they turn them into where they look like firelights. Yeah. Like, I didn't even thought about it. Because when she said when they were walking through, she's like, wow, there's more than usual. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that would be something odd. And then it's that Powder was... bringing up she was making all those. So, man, Ekko! See, I feel like Ekko's voice actor, I've heard him in something before. He sounded familiar. I want to, while this is going real quick, I want to look up Ekko's voice actor and just see real quick who that is. So, Ekko's, let me look up behind Reed Shannon. So, Reed Shannon, let me see here. What has he done else? I feel like I've heard his voice somewhere else before. What has it been in? Because he's in Arcane. He's in His voice sounds super familiar, but he's not been anything else I know of. He was in School of Rock, but that's not... Huh. Interesting. His voice just sounds... And I can't place where I've heard it from, but his voice sounds like a character voice. I'll have to think about that. But yeah, so Vi and Caitlin getting drugged down to see old Ekko. I like the Firelight's design, the motif. Like, all of their gear and stuff kind of looks like the Firelight bug themselves. And the green motif is really cool. It's neat, kind of like the Firefly kind of thing with the two. I like it. It also has like a Bionicle thing. This is kind of like Bionicle, the mask, because you were really into Bionicles. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. I was like, oh, it looked like a Bionicle mask, like his whole thing there. I love he has the hourglass like on his face and his hair. Like, Ekko's adult design is so freaking cool. I love it. So we'll watch the intro with the next episode in case they change something, because it's the final part there. But yeah, so I really love this because I like that Vi is instantly like, she just wants to be with him. She's just sad that she wasn't there for him while she was in prison, that she wanted to be there for him. And I honestly, going into this, I know he was with the Firelights back in episode 4, but I didn't know exactly where his allegiances lay in all of this. And knowing that he's against Silco and all them, that's interesting. But yeah, I love his character design. It's so cool.
He's basically just trying to keep everybody down there safe, because he knows the enforcers are in Silco's pockets, and most of the land is addicted to Shimmer, which they get from Silco. Yeah,
he's kind of like a 2.0 younger Vander, sort of. He kind of has that same, like, he's looking out for the people sort of vibe. Like, not exactly like Vander, because he's very much against the enforcers, and Caitlin at the first, he doesn't trust them at all. But he's kind of like Vander, and then he wants to look out for the people and keep them from, like, being disenfranchised and things like that.
Well, without Powder, Milo, Clagger, or Vi, he's the one that had to step up.
Yeah, because he was by himself. He was the one left alone. Yeah, because Clagger and Milo were dead, Powder was with Silco, and Vi was in prison, so he had to step up. And I love that part where he just, like, hugs her and cries. Like, it's like, ugh, it's so good. So, okay, then we cut to the doctor here, and I didn't realize that his whole... It's from that explosion, wasn't it, that got his whole face scarred on that side of it? And he's looking at the traces of the blood and stuff on the...
He's looking at traces of the plants, seeing the damage.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And Victor. Victor in this episode. This whole thing where he's looking at the old mutation there. And it's always... And he says basically, I was wondering, he's like, the runes and stuff wouldn't work on the other subjects because they didn't have his blood. They weren't him. He's the one thing that is compatible with it. And that's kind of what the mad scientist realizes here. He's like, your subjects, nature's made us intolerant to change. But fortunately, we have the capacity to change our nature. So he's got this Shimmer variant that's not sketchy at all. And I like that it matches that green and purple tones from the beginning of the episode.
Well, you have to remember, Heimerdinger says that warned them about change too quickly.
Right, yeah.
And that it's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
So that level of change that quickly would obviously break the body down.
Yeah, it's too much.
Unless you had something that could strengthen the body.
Which is where the Shimmer comes in, the variant that he's made. And I like that Victor asked if if it'll work on plants, and he's like, "You're not here about plants, so no. Like, this is for you."
Yeah, he's just like, "Boy, get that BS out of here."
Yeah, no, don't beat around the bush. And he's like, "I know the look of a doomed man." And God, that look of Victor looking at the vial. Oh, that's so good. That's such a good... Because, yeah, he's desperate. He's like, I'm about to die. I really have nothing to lose. I'm at the end of my rope. I have nothing to lose. I'm willing to do something crazy. And then when he says, if you take this path, they'll despise you, I'm like, well, he's dead if he doesn't take the path. So it's like, what are your options? And it's interesting to know that he left Heimerdinger. I love this line. Love and legacy are sacrifices we make for progress. Which is going to tie back this whole thing with Jace, too. And that's why I parted ways with Heimerdinger. Uh-huh. Yeah, and it's so tempting. And he's like, Jace will understand. And then we cut to Jace.
All this time, and during this, he's had to betray his mentor. He's put the border on lockdown.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's got all this stuff on his plate. His partner's nowhere to be seen to talk to him.
Yeah, when you said that, the reaction that he didn't know about Heimerdinger, I was like, oh crap, Victor's been gone for all of this. Like, Jace has had us all go down, and Victor's been down in the Undercity, and we'll get to that, but God, yeah, Jace will understand. Sure. And then we cut to Jace forging down there with the hammers. I was like, I didn't expect Arcane to be giving fan servicey things, but why not? Sure. I was like, Mel, you go down into a welding shop and you wear your nicest white dress. Girl, like, wear a different color at least.
Oh, please. That's probably her. That's her off-brand, casually, I'm going to a meeting white dress.
Yeah.
That's not the high-end, I'm going to a party to plan behind people's backs white dress.
That's true. Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm wearing my Kmart dress down here. I'm not getting fancy. We ain't bringing out the Macy's for this. Yeah, the Gucci's not coming out for this. She's interesting. Mel is kind of not grown on me, but she's more complicated than there's more to her, and there's like an air of mystery around her, and I don't want to I feel like we still got 2 episodes, but in this episode, there's like a little air of mystery around her, where she clearly, I don't know, the whole idea, I don't know, he gets the explosive there, and talks about how he can't take it apart, and it's Victor that takes it apart later. And when Jay says it's hard to believe what they're capable of, I'm like, that seems like it was a little bit talking down to the Undercity. Like, he's like, it seemed like he was talking down, like, oh, there's no, but I'm like, your friend Victor, who's a genius, is from the Undercity, and later Victor kind of gets onto him about that. Because he seems a little narrow-minded there, where he's like, it's hard to believe what they're capable of. And it's like, well, they're capable of a lot. I'm like, Jace has no idea. And the fact that, like, Jinx, of all people, is trying to crack the code with the Hex Core. It's like, yeah, she's from the Undercity. Y'all.
Well, his whole thing is, I spent almost half my entire life span figuring out the Hex Tech. There's no way somebody's going to figure it out in, like, a couple weeks.
And, yes, that's exactly what's happening, is that Jinx is figuring it out in a couple of weeks. Because it's like, he's not the smartest person in the room, but he kind of has always had that mentality, maybe, and I don't know. I don't think Heimerdinger's fostered that or anything, but I think that Jace is just like, I made this baby, it's mine.
It's kind of the council's fault for, like, they've pretty much brought him up as, like, the golden...
Yes!
This is the next Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Stephen Hawking right there.
Yes, and that kind of goes back a few episodes ago where Mel was kind of perpetuating that, like, he's going to be our poster, like, he's the poster boy, like, he's going to be the one to lead us into this new Gilded Age, and it's like, well, maybe. And Mel seems like she's trying to figure out, and he feels bad that he betrayed Heimerdinger. And she's like, well, you're not the only one, and you didn't say anything that wasn't necessarily true, but... And I like that Mel tries to tie in her own past. She's like, my family cast me out, but still a part of me loves them. And I love that shot where she's, like, looking over him. It's like a shoulder devil sort of thing, like either shoulder angel, shoulder devil. She's, like, just looking over him, like, trying to give him advice. And then Victor said, Jace will understand that I'm doing all this stuff. And she's like, oh, Heimerdinger will understand that you're doing all this stuff. So it's placing a lot of faith in these people understanding what you're about to do. And she's like, no more red tape. And she's like, let's bring this Hex Tech to the masses like you've always dreamed of, but that I want. And then I love that despite it all, Jace is like, I have to save Victor first. And that we get confirmation that Victor kind of disappears sometimes. And Caitlyn's gone too. I'm glad he still remembers Caitlyn in all this. Mm-hmm. And she's such a tease. He's like, I'm down here sweaty and you come over here to tease me and then you just leave? Okay. Thanks for that. Give me that little jokey joke there as you leave. He's like, yeah, girl. Interesting indeed. Oh my god. So Silco this episode, what a boss. What a freaking mob boss. People in the comments have been talking about how he's like a mafia boss, pretty much, which is true. But I love this. Savika. And Savika, she grew on me a little bit this episode, because she's trying to relate to, oddly enough, Savika relates to Jinx a little bit. She's like, you're trying to be this father figure to her. Just let the girl come to you. Like, don't push her. She's kind of crazy. Don't push her. Ha. It's so interesting. And I love when we get to that scene. We'll talk about when we get to the scene of him at the meeting. That part was so freaking cool. But yeah, Savika trying to relate to Jinx a little bit. It's
more like she's trying to help her boss now. He's got all this stuff on his plate, so have him have one less thing, which is the major one off the plate.
Yeah, and that scene with her and him, like if he thinks he's in control of her, I'm like, are you? I don't think you are, dude. She pretty much. Jinx is so interesting. And the whole thing with Milo is freaky. When you were on the bridge looking down and Milo that was like over her shoulder, like that ghost, freaky. And I love that they use the broken mirror to like her, she is mentally in shambles, this girl. And we see the mechanical bugs. I'm getting like foreshadowing of that. That's really cool. But yeah, this girl's in like her stapling her leg back together. Oh my god. That's just it's the visuals and everything of getting like in her mental state is our poor girl. She needs some guidance, and getting it from a mafia boss is not the best way.
Out of the three of her like siblings, Milo was always the one that was most critical.
That's true. So she kind of like
having Milo represent the critical part of her mind. That's like, this is your fault. This is what's happening. This is something you can't change. That's her having Milo right there.
Being a constant reminder, like, to keep her in check. And I love the visual of her. As soon as she blew up the firelight, I was like, that's like such a representation of Ekko, like her fight. And I didn't realize that she'd fight him in the end, but now looking back, it's like, no, that makes perfect sense. Like, that was such lots of foreshadowing there. And then, yeah, we get the hourglass and everything. I love the tree. And the fact that it grows in the Undercity. Like, the fact that something like this grows there. And it's this sanctuary and this representation that they can have a second life and still, carry on into the future. It
also shows there are places that Silco doesn't know about.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah, there's places he's not familiar with yet that are in the Undercity. Mm-hmm. Everyone here was an addict or a victim. And I love the little Batman with the baby, and he looks up at her like he doesn't know whether to trust her or not. And then, yeah, Vi lamenting that she should have been there. And I like that. He's like, that's a good way to drive yourself crazy. Don't worry about the past that much. And they do the whole what ifs. Like, what if Ekko had gone that day, but you don't know. You can't predict that far ahead in the future. Yeah. And then all that's left is Jinx. And Vi is convinced that she can reach her because she's her sister. And she's like, Powder will come back, Powder, she's convinced she can reach Powder. And Ekko's like, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. Shh. And then, So yeah, them doing the mural and like all the people there, like all the little toys and things, you can see the images. Interesting.
And they're working on the one that Jinx killed.
Yeah. And there was Clagger, Milo, and Vander. And Vi's on there too, which is interesting.
Yeah, they thought she was dead.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, there's the people, yeah. So the people from the airship that she killed, that's the one they're painting now. Gotcha. And Ekko's trying to tell her, he's like, yeah, she chose to stay with him. So it's not that she's being held there against her will. She's actively wanting to stay with Silco. He's like, she's not the little sister that you thought you knew. So you may want to go rescue her, but it's not going to be easy. And she's not going to just instantly stop Silco and come right back to you. It's not going to be that easy. There's too much. There's a lot of baggage there.
And now we got.
Oh my gosh! So this scene, they did two things this episode that they haven't really done in this show yet. But they showed like Jace looking down on Victor, like directly to the camera, like we are in Victor's shoes, and then we flip it later and we see Silco looking directly up at Powder, and like we're in Powder's position. So we're like in Powder and Victor's shoes in these two scenes, and it's uncomfortable. Like when he looks straight down at Victor, it's very uncomfortable. But this conversation about people down there who hell bent on destroying us. And Victor's like the voice of reason in all this. He's like, what are you talking about? I was consulting a friend. I told you I knew somebody. And he said, you didn't say they were from the Undercity. And I love this. We don't see Victor's face, but we see it off screen where he's like, what difference does that make? And he said, they're dangerous. And I love that that's the moment we cut back to Victor's face when Jace is looking right at us, the camera saying they're dangerous, and Victor's like, I'm from the Undercity, so what does that make me? And Jace does apologize. And I get kind of mad at Jace for that, because he's like, I got a lot on my plate. I'm like, he's dying. When Jace is like, I got a lot on my plate, and he's like, I'm over here barely hanging on by a thread, but glad you're busy. You know, it was very condescending. And I was like, oh, Jace, honey, I want to love you in that moment, but that was not the right thing to say.
Well, you also have to look at it from the fact that he's now a counselor and head of security.
Well, yeah, but still.
So what happens when
he's
one of them...
dying.
So what do you think the other counselors would think of if one of the minds of the Hex Tech was down in the Undercity while the gemstone was gone?
True, that is true, but I'm like, he's your best friend, supposedly, and he has told you he's from the Undercity, so it's like...
But he didn't say the friend was from the Undercity.
Right, he did not, but I do think that Victor gets really offended in that moment, because he's like, are you assuming that just... He's like, because I'm from the Undercity, so are you saying that I'm dangerous? Like, you can see the wheels turning. I'm not saying that Victor or Jace are right and wrong, but you can see the wheels turning between them, like where Victor is getting this attitude from. And yeah, Jace just being like, I got a lot on my plate. I'm like, well, you know.
His plate is crumbling.
Uh-huh. And I love these, like, was your friend able to help? And he's like, no. But he's got the,
He's got the serum.
Uh-huh. And then, meanwhile, we're having all this. There's, like,
Molotov cocktail
being thrown and everything. And just, it's like... Nothing's really... And then we cut back from that. We got from that to this meeting. God, I love this meeting.
This meeting in a penthouse with fresh air.
Yeah, the penthouse that's above the Undercity. Yeah, so we get a little sneak peek at the very top of the Undercity, right? Which is curious, because I kind of love that. I love that Silco actively chooses... Now that we see the geography and the layout, and you see that there are places that are above the smog where the elitist Undercity people dwell, I think it's cool that Silco chooses to stay in the bottoms. He chooses to stay at the bottom, right? Because that's where it's the most... He's used to the smog. He doesn't need the mask because he's used to it. That's really cool.
And it shows when he goes to this meeting, they're so used to that topsider air that if they ever go back down, they're going to be choking.
Oh yeah, he uses that. But I love that for Silco, that's such a representation of Silco that he stays at the bottom. Their character designs in this. Okay, do you know that game, the Alice game from like the early 2000s?
Madness Returns.
Madness Returns, yeah, the Alice game. This leprechaun-looking cat thing looks like it's from the Alice Madness Returns game. It looks like it's a boss villain. I feel like whoever animated this used in this scene the Alice Madness game as inspiration. Because, like, the big plants and it's just the creepy vibe of it. But that cat, especially, that cat creature, it looks like a boss from that game. Like, that just... I was kind of distracted by this leprechaun cat because it's so freaking weird. But yeah, the design of all these characters. And this guy looking like he's from 300 with his, like, Gucci meets 300 with his coat and everything. And his golden jaw. I wanted to know what was in the box.
The masks.
Oh, were the masks. That was the only thing in the box. Okay. And then this girl that never speaks, she has a really cool design. Interesting. I love that these characters that are there for 5 seconds have all these intricate designs to their characters.
Well, they're the Kim Barons. They're the ones who are... They're basically the council of the Undercity. Okay,
so it's like the parallel of the council above, and it's...
Yeah, he put them in charge instead of Vander. So while Vander had, like, the whole thing, he set those guys up to deal with that while he deals with the Shimmer trade.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
But... Now, as you said, they've gotten fat off of...
They've gotten complacent.
What he's given them.
Fat and complacent. They're just living the life of luxury. And he's like, I'm the only one down in the dirt. I'm down in the Undercity doing all the dirty work, and you guys are just up here complacent and happy. Oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah, this scene is so good. And when the guy, Finn... When Finn's on the ground, I really thought for a second he wasn't going to give him the mask. I thought he was going to keep it for himself. But he only uses it the one time and then gives it back to him. Silco just proving himself like such a boss. Like, I think this is probably the episode I've liked Silco the most in because he shows how clever he is and just how in control he is of this situation. Now with Powder / Jinx.
With Jinx, she's a loose cannon.
Oh!
But with the rest of his men, he's showing that I don't have to beat you in strength.
Oh, no. Jinx is just, I feel like she's... Savika, I don't think is too wrong in saying that he has no control over her. She is just barely with Silco on a whim. Like, I think if she just wanted to leave, she would, and he wouldn't be able to stop her. He's just trying to hold on to the leash tight enough where she doesn't run off. But God, this... And him inhaling and then dropping the mask, that's so good. That's such a boss move. I love it. I love this whole scene. The scene up here in the top part of the Undercity. The vibe of it, it's all so good. And then they turn the fan back on. So great. I love it. Okay. So we get this scene of this woman talking about how Piltover looks vulnerable because of everything going on. And that people are starting to talk overseas. And so they say Jace isn't ready. And I'm sure we'll get spoilers. We'll get stuff about that in the next episode or whatever. But then she gets this envelope from the lady, and I'm assuming that it's from her home country because the seal on it looks
it's the same as her ring.
Yeah, it looks the same as her ring. Exactly. I was like, I've seen that symbol before. Yeah, it's from her home country. So it's like, what we doing? So that makes me curious about Mel. Like, I'm getting more interested in her character because I'm like, what do we not know about you? I am sad with this scene because the little boy offers Caitlin the water, and she just smacks the bowl away. And I'm like, girl, you're not proving your cause any. You know, the kid offered you something, and she smacks the bowl away, and then...
She probably thought it was poison.
She could have, but then it's the little kid, I love that Ekko's just like, yeah, you elitist topsiders. Like it's just, I get why Caitlin does it, because she doesn't know what's going on, but then we know from Ekko's perspective they're trying to help her, and so it's just, And then I love this. I love when Vi's like, my hero. Like, look at you, trying to get me safe. And Ekko's like, wow, really? Yeah, I'm supposed to trust you? Okay. And then we get explanation about the gemstone. Well, we don't get explanation about the gemstone yet. Then we have the scene where, God, when Powder just comes in, when she stabs him with the stuff for his eye. Ugh. And they make her movements so jerky in this. Like, the camera work and everything is just, like, just jerking around like she's in the chair. But her, like, pricking his face and everything. Ooh. And just trying to call him out that he lied to her.
Yeah, but after the goodbye hug and then the run back.
Oh, don't move, silly. I might hurt you. God, she's terrifying. Jinx is probably the one I'm scared of the most in this series because she's so unpredictable. Like, I don't know what she will do. And that's kind of the point. And he's like, I want to protect you. And he tries to frame it as, oh, well, Vi and Caitlin are after the crystal. They're not there for you. And Powder being like, well, okay. But it's like, no, Vi is there for Powder. She is there for her. He's lying. So, he's just gaslighting her in this moment. Yeah, who cared for you? Who gave you a home? I'm your family and everyone else betrays us. So that's such a, we get Jace. We get two different kind of lies there. You have Jace looking straight down at Victor being like, the Undercity people are dangerous. Like, you can't trust them. And then you have Silco looking back up at Powder being like, I'm your family and everyone else betrays you. Like, you have two guys presenting these very absolute points of views that are not quite correct. So, God, I love this. And he's like, I need you. Yeah, he does need her. She's making the weapon with the hex core for him. So he does need her, but she does not need him. You have to complete the weapon. Ugh. That needle every time. Every time. Yeah. It's awful. Gugh. Still has the bug, though. So yeah, we get this whole thing here where Caitlin is trying to be the diplomat. Caitlin's trying to be like, look, this will all work out if we just go topside and let's let Jace, which when she said, let's let Jace have it, I was like, Jace just had a whole thing about the Undercity being dangerous. I'm like, is he really the person we need to go to plead for the Undercity's case? Maybe if Caitlin's there. Now that
that he's part of the security or in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they return the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts telling them about how they've been transporting Shimmer out of the thing. And he's got documents of the illegal transports that might like calm him down and take away some of the mistrust.
That could be, yeah.
Because now they'll have his person to go after. And he'll be able to tell Marcus, go down there, bring Silco.
Yeah, if Marcus is alive, right? Because we don't know.
Yeah, that's the only downside, is that Marcus was at that location.
Yeah, Marcus was our inside connection to Silco.
All she had to do was go to a different one, show the badge, say she had a person of interest,
but we can't have nice things in this show, so that was the thing. But yeah, so it could go either way. Like you said, it could either give Jace a fixed point of focus to be like, okay, we go after this one person and that will help solve the problem. I could see that working. I could see Jace being like, yeah, we'll go take down Silco. That'll give us a name. That'll give us a person. Cool. Or I could see it going where he's like, Undercity people, and then Ekko getting pissed off, and then Ekko being like, we can't trust you elitist people at all. I could see it going either way. So that's going to be curious to see when they get this gemstone to Jace, what's going to happen. Because Caitlyn has the rose-colored glasses where she's like, this will all work out great. Be fine. We can do this. And Ekko seems the least on board, but he's like, we really don't have any other choice. So let's do this.
He wants to at least put his 2 cents in.
Yeah, he wants to be there. He's like, I want to go and see this for myself. I'm not just trusting it with you. I want to see this through as well. And I like that him and Vi and Caitlyn are all together on this. I do like that a lot. Supposedly. Well, until the bomb went off. We don't know. Ugh. Yep. And then he's like, I'm the one who gives it to him. So then, yeah, we cut right to, speaking of Jinx, we cut to the... I love this, too, that Victor recognizes that the engineering that Jinx has done is inspired. Like, he's saying somebody was really talented that made this. And Jace is, of course, worried that it could be somebody that could weaponize a hex core. And it's like, well, yeah. And when he says it's a leap, it's like, well, Jinx can make a leap, you know. And then Mel's like, it suggested they found a way to utilize the gemstone, which we don't know for sure yet. If we assume the worst, they could turn it into a weapon. And then I like that Victor is the one trying to solve the problem. He's trying to defuse the bomb while these two talk over him. Like, just the imagery there is interesting. And Mel's like, we can't afford to wait. And then that gets Victor's attention. He's like, hey, what? Say what?
He's starting to see the writing on the wall.
Oh, yeah. He's seeing Mel's agenda. She's like, we could make countermeasures of our own. We can use this hex tech to make weapons, too, if that's what they're going to do. And Victor's like, that's not what we started this for. And Victor, I love it how they animate Victor's surprised face in this. Whenever he's surprised, like, I think it was episode 3, or no, it was episode, 4 or 5, he's like, his head just jerks whenever he's surprised. The animation's so good, and it only does it for Victor. It's great. I love it. But he's like, absolutely not. That's not why we invented Hex Tech. It's not why we did this. And Mel's just like, Mel just like looks down at him like, Jace? Like, she just completely ignores him. And Jace's like, Heimerdinger's inaction is what brought us here. You said so yourself. And Victor's like, wait, what did you say? The peace is broken. Prepare to defend your people. Which is funny because as we're doing this, as Victor is doing this experiment on himself, we have Vi and Caitlyn going to deliver the gemstone without Ekko. And so, interesting. Yeah. And if we're lucky, we don't have to use it. And yeah, and she says the decision's yours. And Victor's like, am I not included in this decision-making process anymore? Apparently not.
Technically, they already have a start on a weapon with that ray thing.
Yeah.
They introduced in episode 4.
They did. That's right. Yeah. And so I like this, that Victor's like, we're scientists. We're not soldiers. And yeah, they do have the knowledge to defend themselves. But he's like, this is supposed to improve lives, not take them. And I love this line where, so it's such a great metaphor. He's like, we don't have a choice. And I love this because the bomb is about to go off.
It's got a green and a red side.
Yes, the green and the red. And then he chooses in the middle. And he's like, there's always a choice. I love it. I love that line. Yeah. There's always a choice. I love it. God. Victor, my dude. My dude. And then Jace is trying to deal with all of it. I hate seeing the rift between Jace and Victor. I hate seeing it because I like them together. So I'm like, I want that to mend, but I don't know. I don't know because Victor's doing this experiment. And God, the fact that he does carves the runes into his skin and everything. Oh my God. And has all the tech, and then Ekko and them are leaving. Ugh. And then Ekko and them leaving, but there's and then back Jace looking at the book and seeing the mage, and then the pictures of him with the hammer, with the superhero cape on. Okay. And then so is Heimerdinger, don't spoil me, but yes or no, is Heimerdinger going to the Undercity? Okay, that's what I thought. He has the Jedi hood on. Yes. So
destroy the Hextech, you miss.
So Heimerdinger's going to the Undercity. Interesting.
Dangerous magic is.
I'm like, okay, I know you can't spoil me. But I'm thinking that he's going to see the former student that's working with Victor, that worked with Victor. He's going down to talk to him. We'll have to see. I think that he's going to go down and talk to, because as soon as that guy said he worked with Heimerdinger, I was like, that's funny. And then Heimerdinger going to the Undercity. Okay, fascinating. I love it. And then I've never seen so many firelights. Yeah, because some of them are bombs. Shoot. Okay. But yeah, we go to that damn bridge. I love the shot of Powder up on the bridge with the braids dangling. And oh my God, the whole him just using the shimmer, and then Jay saying, I may have to do something I don't want to do. Hashtag no regrets. I'm worried I may have to do something I never thought I would.
And this is something Heimerdinger was trying to warn him about.
Yep.
But where's his voice of reason now? Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, so it's going in the Undercity. Yep, there we go. And so Victor, honey, I just want Victor to be safe, but and him with the blood on the hand and slicing the hand. Oh, honey. Yeah, it's just it's hard watching. I'm so fascinated by what's going to happen with all of this. And yeah, it almost seemed like it got in his blood and it fortified it, but we don't know. We don't get this. Oh my gosh. It just hardened it into the hexagon figures like it was outside of it. Oh, okay. Foreboding music. And then we go on the bridge there. And God, this whole thing with Powder looking down and watching her hug Caitlin and being it's just a friendly hug. It's just a goodbye hug. God, that thing of Milo over her shoulder. It's a goodbye hug. She's not going to go with him. Oh, she wouldn't do that. Not again. Yeah, oh, Powder, honey. And so we have Marcus and all them. And that was the last person they needed to find. God. And he just straight up shot Ekko. But Ekko luckily had the shield on. And then, God, Caitlin. And then, and then we have the firelights, the bombs. Caitlin's injured. And we have Marcus is probably dead. We don't know for sure, but he looks like he's dead. And then, of course, oh my gosh. And her seeing, Caitlin as this devilish figure, I'm like, dude. And then she shoots him apart, and that's when Ekko comes in. That was such a badass moment. I love it. The lighting, the way that they did the animation where they used the lamp lights, the spotlights to give the shadows and everything. The animation was so perfect in this episode. It's probably one of the better animated ones, I think, of the series. And just the lighting and the dramatic, them fighting each other to get the gemstone and everything, and Ekko tells him to go. God, and then it turns into the music video of the episode where we have the confrontation between Ekko and Jinx and them going back to their childhood and it mirroring of course, you have the bullets And as kids, they're paintballs and things like that. It goes from something innocent, seemingly, to something that's adult and violent. Damn. So good! It's so good. I love it. Yeah, I love the animation. I love the transitions. And then just him whacking her teeth out. And then he stops because he sees her as a kid. He sees, powder that he knew in the past. And what does she do? She detonates the bomb. Like, he has a moment of hesitation where he sees, like, the kid that he was once friends with. And she's like, gee, thanks for stopping, but here's this bomb. And we don't see what happens to him, but we see that she's been hit by the bomb. And Vi and Caitlin are still going forward to take the stuff to Jace. Oh my gosh. And then it ends. I don't know. This may be one of my favorites so far. I really like episode 7. This may be my favorite of the season so far. I really liked this episode. I liked episode 3 a lot. And I liked episodes 4 and 5. But this one, I like this one quite a bit. So I don't know. Was there any Easter eggy things with League of Legends in this episode?
When Ekko and Jinx were fighting, we kind of got to see a little bit of how Ekko played in the game.
Oh,
his whole thing is, you're about to die, hit your ultimate button, and it rewinds you back to where you were.
Oh, so he's a playable character in League of Legends. Ekko is. Okay.
His whole thing is, he reverses time.
That's the clock.
The thing the Hex Gem was in.
Yes.
He's got that, and that's what he revs up in order to
Oh, okay. Well, when he had the stopwatch and then the thing, I was like, I wonder what that is, because they drew attention to it, so I didn't know if that was like an Easter egg. So he's a playable character in it. Okay.
And by Jinx, Caitlin, Heimerdinger, and Victor.
Nice. Okay. Well, that makes much more sense now.
And the Doctor.
Okay, that makes much more sense now, because I was wondering what those pieces were during the fight. I'm like, I wonder if that makes more sense. Okay. Was there any in the council room? Were they all original characters, the council people in there?
There are, I think, a few that have been brought up in lore for other characters.
Oh, okay.
I think one of them owns like a mine in there, and there's a champion that comes from those mines called Urgot.
Okay.
Who kind of like dethrones one of them, takes their place.
Oh. See, because it just, the way the character designs were, they were so elaborate. I was like, I wonder if they are connected to the game somehow.
It's kind of a mirror to the Piltover Council, where you got like, they got all the fancy threads, they got some mechanical parts replaced on them, but it's more neat, orderly, very sterile. And then you got those guys from the Undercity who have like makeshift mech arms.
It's more chaotic and more kind of like...
It's more Mad Max down there.
Yeah, very Mad Max, yeah.
You get like Blade Runner up top, Mad Max down below.
Oh my god, yeah, Blade Runner. Although I would argue parts of the Undercity kind of have a Blade Runner, like that neon glow. It kind of has a Blade Runner vibe too. Like especially, I always think of in Blade Runner where it's like pouring rain and it's like in the streets and there's the food carts and stuff. There's a bit of that feel in the Undercity too, but yeah.
But in the Blade Runner, you also got the elites that are up top.
Like everything's stone and like very like open space and minimalist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I get that. No. Well, that's cool. That's cool that Ekko's a character in all this. That makes sense.
Yeah, and his whole thing is the rewind time thing, which they do perfectly, displaying his abilities without being too on the nose about it.
Yeah, that's one thing, is that the series, it feels like there's been moments in this series, especially early on, where I was like, oh, that feels like an Easter egg, but it's not something that's distracting where it takes me out of the story. I'm just like, okay, that looks like something extra that if you know, you know, and if you don't, it's just something kind of you don't need to know for the story to work. So yeah, I think I'm probably most interested in going into episode 8 in Heimerdinger going to the Undercity. That's interesting. And then whatever's happening with Victor, that's probably what I'm most interested in so far. But that's for episode 8, right? We only have 2 more episodes.
Number 8's my favorite.
Is it? Is it your favorite? Ooh, that's exciting. I have this thing where it's like the rule of 8. It doesn't really apply to this show because usually the rule of 8 is like if you have 12 episodes in a series, you have like the first 4 is Act 1, Episode 8's the end of Act 2, the start of Act 3. That doesn't work for this show because it's like midway through the final act, but the 8th episode of a series is always usually a good one. So, 8's my lucky number, so that's so exciting. That's so exciting. I'm glad. I didn't know that was your favorite. Oh, yay! Awesome. Cool. Well, no spoilers, but I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah, this was a great episode. I really loved this. So, all right. Well, I'm hyped for episode 8 now. So, you got anything else you want to add to it?
No, I'm good.
All right. Sweet. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that reaction. If you guys got comments down below, please let us know. But this was a great episode. I'm really excited for episode 8 now. And yeah, so in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we'll be back next week with episode 8 of Arcane.